Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So I think we're gonna start right now. So first of all, thank you for joining our basically last webinar of this year, organized by the Lithuanian, Polish, Hungarian, and Slovenian R&D liaison offices in Brussels. And today we will be focusing on the EU Hydrogen Bank pilot auction. The hydrogen bank auctions are crucial to the success of the European hydrogen industry, and we hope that this first EU-wide auction for renewable hydrogen production will send a clear signal that Europe is the place to invest in the renewable hydrogen production and in hydrogen-based industries. But before we delve into this topic, I would like to give the floor to the co-organizers of this event to greet you all in our native language. It's already our tradition. So please, Maciej, the floor is yours.
I was thinking, would you like to start with Lithuanian first?
I will finish with Lithuanian.
Okay, thank you, Dadas then. Szanowni Państwo, dzień dobry, nazywam się Maciej Woszczyk, jestem pracownikiem biura NCBR w Brukseli. Razem z naszymi kolegami z zaprzyjaźnionych biur z innych krajów członkowskich zajmujących się tematyką B+R-u organizujemy to wydarzenie dotyczące akcji pilotażowej w ramach Europejskiego Banku Wodoru. A to z tego względu, że wodór jest tematem dosyć modnym i nośnym i już wielokrotnie do niego wracaliśmy i będziemy wracać. Dzisiaj akurat będziemy rozmawiać o instrumencie, który ma wspierać produkcję wodoru, jakkolwiek Komisja i inne struktury europejskie odnoszą się do wodorów dosyć wszechstronnie, to znaczy zarówno jeśli chodzi o regulacje, wspieranie badań, wspieranie produkcji itd. Thank you for that. Now I would like to pass the floor to my Hungarian colleague Orsolia, who will greet you all in her beautiful national speech and language. Thank you.
Köszönöm szépen. Szeretettel üdvözlöm a magyar kollégáimat, Dávid Ágot a Tudományos Atasi nevében, és engem Mayer Orsolyanak hívnak, én képviselem az LTT Brüsszelben. Nagyon örülünk, hogy eljöttek ennyien magyar kollégák is, és reméljük, hogy érdekesnek és inspirálónak tartják meg az előadást, annak fényében is, hogy ez egy elég speciális téma. Bármilyen kérdésük van a továbbiakban, akkor szívesen állunk rendelkezésünkre. Sok sikert kívánunk önöknek a jövőben. Now I switch to English. Welcome you all. We are very happy to welcoming you here, and I wish you an interesting event and hope you find this presentation insightful for your future projects. And now I give the floor to my Slovenian colleague Bernard Modic.
Hello everyone, dobrodošli vsi skupaj. Nas veseli, da ste se danes priključili na današnji dogodek. Upamo, da boste izvedeli veliko koristnih informacij in če imate kakšne podrobne vprašanja, lahko z veseljem napišete vprašanje v klepet, ki ga imate na razpolago. In tudi za kasnejše komunikacijo, če imate kakšne večje vprašanja, nam lahko tudi po mailu sporočite na SBRA in bomo pogledali in pomagali. Thank you very much. I also want to thank my colleagues from the other Brussels offices for today's event, and I'm passing back to Tadas for the last introduction.
Thank you very much. Labą dieną dar kartelį visai lietuviškai publikai ir iš tikrųjų džiaugiamės, kad šiandien jūs prisijungėte prie Lino biuro ir partnerių organizuojamo renginio seminaro Vandenilio bankas pirmasis bandomasis aukcionas ir tikiuosi, kad šis renginys jums bus naudingas ir sužinosite daug naujų dalykų ir taip pat raginu visus, nepatingėkite, parašykite čate arba tiesiog paklauskite jūs dominančių klausimų. Tai dėkui dar kartelį. And now I'm switching back to English, and without further ado, I would like to give the floor to our key speaker of today's event, who is going to discuss today's topic. So today we have Javier Garcia Fernandez, a policy officer from DG Klima, and he is going to present the hydrogen bank and the auction. So Javier, the floor is yours.
Hello everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to be speaking here about our work under the European Hydrogen Bank and the auctions that we have organized under the Innovation Fund. I'm going to try to share a presentation looking for the button to share here. Saying thank you very much for the invitation and for the opportunity to be talking here. And my name is, as you were introducing myself, introducing me, Javier García Fernández. I work as a policy officer here in the Innovation Fund, which is based in DG Clima, the Director General for Climate Action. And today I'm going to talk about, well, the European Hydrogen Bank, but inside the European Hydrogen Bank about the pilot action under the Innovation Fund, which is what many of you may already know we launched 2 weeks ago. So what is this thing of the European Hydrogen Bank? So the first thing that we say is that the European Hydrogen Bank is not a bank. It is a financing initiative. It was announced in 2022 during the State of the Energy Union, and it's linked to the Repower EU objectives, where it set down that, well, the aim of the European Union and the European Commission is to make available and deploy 20 million tons of hydrogen in Europe by 2030. 10 of those millions will be produced domestically, and the other half are expected to come from imports. So it took form in a communication that was published in 2023, and less than a year after, we have been able to launch the first pilot action on RFNBO hydrogen, the last 23rd of November 2023. And besides that, and I will speak a bit about this, we have implemented a scheme called Actions as a Service, but I will explain this. So the European Hydrogen Bank is composed by 5 pillars, 5 activities. Today, I'm going to speak only about the first one, which is the creation of the support for the creation of a domestic market creation for renewable hydrogen. In this case, it will be supported through a fixed premium, supported through the Innovation Fund and funded from the Innovation Fund. Then there is a second pillar that is targeted to that second objective of imports, of promoting imports of renewable hydrogen into the European Union, which is led by DG Ener, and that is still under design. Then there's a third pillar of the European Hydrogen Bank, which goes around transparency and coordination. Basically, this means that this is also a work ongoing, and it's all the work around making the information as public as possible to be able to show, well, what is the prices that we're receiving, to show conclusions about infrastructure needs, and so on. And also, there is a fourth pillar of the European Hydrogen Bank that is all the coordination around finding synergies with existing European financing instruments, particularly with innovation, with the rest of the Innovation Fund grants, with InvestEU, or with the structural funds, and also coordination and synergies with existing international financial instruments. Having said this, under the domestic, in the support of the development of a domestic market in Europe, and in the design of this domestic RFNBO production auction, we have pursued 4 key objectives. First, we're trying to provide to the market a cost-effective mechanism for the support of production of RFNBO hydrogen, with the aim of reducing the cost gap between, well, the cost of producing the hydrogen and the aim of the willingness of demand to pay for it. This is what we call the green premium. Then, as part of that third pillar that I was just talking about, on transparency and coordination, we are aiming at making available information that allows the creation of a market on hydrogen, which is not existent at this moment. So basically, it's to have price discovery on renewable hydrogen. And then we have designed this mechanism as a de-risking mechanism, which with the aim of promoting and mobilizing private investment as well. And finally, but not less important, this approach of organizing an auction is as complementary to the already ongoing regular grants under the Innovation Fund, aims at having a more simplified way of applying, reducing administrative burdens both for the applicants, but also for us, for the European Commission. And I don't know how many of you know about the Innovation Fund, but well, this is where the funds are coming from in this auction. And I will just very briefly explain what it is. So this is one of the largest global funds directed at the deployment of innovative net zero technologies, with with the ultimate goal of avoiding emissions and, well, boosting competitiveness in different technologies. One of the particularities of the Innovation Fund is that it's not funded by the budget of the European Commission, but instead is funded by the revenues of the allowances of the ETS market, the emission trading system market in the EU. That means that it does not have a fixed budget, but approximately, if we consider the price of carbon, carbon allowances in around 75 euro per ton of CO2 equivalent, we more or less can say that we will have available like 40 billion of euros to invest from 2020 to 2030. And this investment is made in these 5 sectors that I'm showing, which is basically we work on supporting energy intensive industries, on renewable energy, energy storage, also carbon capture and storage, and also since quite recently, also net zero mobility and buildings. And the way that we award this support is traditionally through direct grants, well, grants allocated through direct competition, and now for the first time also through an auction. So what is this auction going to, or how does it look like? So here you have a slide that summarizes it in a nutshell. And as you can see, and as I was saying, we've been designing this auction looking for simplicity and speed in the implementation. So the budget of this auction is going to be 800 million from the Innovation Fund, and the auction good is going to be RFNBO hydrogen. RFNBO hydrogen is renewable fuel of non-biological origin hydrogen, and it's the way that it is defined in the delegated acts of the Renewable Energy Directive. For those who think that this is a complicated name, well, this is the way it is. And we will be providing support in the form of a fixed premium in euros per kilogram of hydrogen produced over a period of 10 years. And I want to emphasize that we are supporting the fixed premium. We're not supporting the total cost of the LCOH of producing the hydrogen. We're just providing that extra amount that is necessary to close the gap, the market gap between the cost of producing and the willingness of paying of the demand, as I was saying at the beginning. And as you can see in the graph to the right, that need for subsidy would be the fixed premium on which bidders will be bidding and that we will be paying on. Since this is an auction, we will be ranking only on price, and the budget will be allocated from the lowest price to the highest price until the available budget, the 800 million, is exhausted. On top of that, it is true that we will be assessing a series of pre-qualification criteria on a pass-fail basis. And we have that just to guarantee that the proposals that we receive and that are awarded have the minimum quality requirements. Once the received bids are selected and awarded, they will be pay as bid, and there will be no indexation to inflation. So what you have bid is what you will be paid during the 10 years of implementation. Projects will not be receiving any type of pre-financing. We're expecting a certain level of maturity in the projects that will be applying, so projects will only be paid upon presentation of a verified and certified production of RFNBO hydrogen. And these payments will be received on a semi-annual basis. Another characteristics of this pilot action that we have launched. We have set a minimum size of the capacity of the electrolyzer that can bid. This to limit the number of projects that we receive. And having said this, all the elements of the design of this pilot action that I'm presenting here today, they have been widely discussed with stakeholders and publicly consulted. So they have all been agreed, and we have incorporated many comments from stakeholders and member states. So one of the characteristics of these requirements from this pilot action that we are opening is that the minimum size of the electrolyzer that you apply with has to be beyond 5 megawatts per bit. It has to be located in a single place. We will not be accepting virtual capacity pooling, and it has to be located in one country inside the European Economic Area. the capacity has to be new. So by the moment of sending the bid, the project cannot have started works. Then there's a maximum. There's a maximum grant that you can request. And we do this because we want to avoid one bid to take all over with all the budget that we have available. So we have limited this to 1/3 of the total budget available, which is roughly to 267 million euro. Is the maximum grant amount that a project can bid for. And there is also a cap to the price, which is at 4.5 euros per kilogram of RFNBO hydrogen produced. Any price beyond that will be rejected. One important thing that we are requesting is that the projects have to enter into operation in a minimum period of 5 years since the moment of signing the grant agreement with us. And linked to that, we are requesting to have a completion guarantee. At the moment of application, it will be just the letter of intent of a financial institution willing to provide this completion guarantee, and that will be for an amount of 4% of the maximum grant amount. And that if you are selected and awarded and you want to sign the grant agreement, when you sign the grant agreement, you will have to issue it not later than 2 months after signing the grant agreement. What else? Well, we have at this moment no restriction on the off-taker sectors that come with the bid. So the producer of RFNBO hydrogen that is bidding in the auction can have declared anyone or any type of any off-taker, no matter the sector, no matter the geographical location, as part of the bid. And also the producer will have to respect certain conditions for the production. So once a project presents the bid and presents the total volume that it will be producing during a period of 10 years, it will have to respect a certain level of deviation from the average annual production that has claimed, and that is a 30%. So basically for a period of 3 years. So basically, projects that are selected cannot deviate below 30% on average during a period of 3 years. And if they do, they will be terminated and out of the grant agreement. Also, besides certifying the production of RFNBO hydrogen, at the end of the 10 years of implementation, we will be requesting a certification on the full production of RFNBO hydrogen and non-RFNBO hydrogen that can be produced from the capacity of the electrolyzer in the bid. And they have to certify that at least 70% of GHG savings have been reported on the overall production. And this certification can be done by a third party or by an internal audited report. The meaning of this last certification that we request at the end of the implementation period is just to ensure that we are not double crossing, cross-subsidizing RFNBO and non-RFNBO hydrogen production, because we understand that, of course, 100% RFNBO production is not realistic. The profile of the electricity, it's variable, and all projects we're assuming that most of them will produce at some moment some amount of non-RFNBO hydrogen, and while we were not paying for it, we will be at least requesting that amount falls into a certain amount and respect the 70% of GHG emissions savings. There are also other rules to take into consideration in this auction, and is that we have quite strict rules on cumulation with other support or with other public support. And the origin of this requirement is to ensure that we are having like a level playing field from projects coming from all over the countries from Europe, regardless of the country or where the project is located, because we understand that some countries were able to implement already supporting schemes with public funding, and some others were not able to do so. And since this is a European-wide scheme, we want all the projects to come under the same conditions. So if you go into the call text and the terms and conditions of the auction, you will have in detail what are the conditions for cumulation rules and the exceptions that may be there. So in summary, I'm going to summarize here very, very quickly. So basically, the project that bids into the auction can accumulate support on the electrolyzer. That is not a problem for us because we understand that as an open market in Europe. The power plant that is providing energy supply to the electrolyzer has to comply with all the rules inside the Renewable Energy Directive and the delegated acts. We are not requesting anything else or anything more. But then the electrolyzer cannot accumulate in general with any type of CapEx or OpEx support. So in public funding, there are some exceptions. Basically, the exemptions that fall under Article 4.3 of the CAG, which basically we are allowing to accumulate with certain type of tax and levies that are directed to support environmental policy, but it's a small exception. On the side of the hydrogen off-taker, we will not be allowing any accumulation with any type of support that impacts the consumption or the price of the RFNBO hydrogen that is off-taken. That means that the off-taker can have received or can receive support on CapEx if they want to upgrade, for example, the furnaces for green steel, but they cannot receive any type of support on operations that impact the price of the hydrogen they're taking from the producer. And also regarding the infrastructure that connects the electrolyzer with the off-taker, you can only accumulate CapEx or OpEx in that infrastructure if the infrastructure is not dedicated to the project. If it is dedicated, the accumulation is not allowed. I know these accumulation rules are not that straightforward, so that's why I really encourage people to go into the call text and go and read more about the details. And then these auctions as a service that we have implemented and that at this moment are active, but well, we don't have any member state participating still in this scheme. So basically, the auctions as a service, as we call it, is a service that we are offering to the member states in order for them to allocate part of their national budget into our auction. So we are providing to them a service of clearing the budget in a way that once we have cleared the Innovation Fund section of the auction, additional projects coming from the country that has allocated some budget into the auction can further benefit from this support. So it's not on top of the Innovation Fund, but let's say that the budget from the member state, it's cleared also following our rules. And we are doing this just with the purpose of reducing, again, administrative burden in order to promote or to reduce a fragmentation of the market in Europe, and also has provided us a tool that reduces all the burdens of state aid allocation. So countries that participate or that allocate budget into the auctions as a service have a facilitated mechanism for or a streamlined mechanism for state aid and to support RFNBO hydrogen beyond the Innovation Fund. And what will this look like once for the projects that participate in this auction? Well, the call opened on the 23rd of November, and it will close on the 8th of February. That means that until the 8th of February, we can receive bids. Then, after 2 months, more or less, 2 months to 3 months, results will be published, and projects will be invited to prepare the grant agreement with CINEA, which is the Climate, Infrastructure and Environmental Executive Agency of the European Commission, and who is the agency that will be leading this selection procedure. Once a project has signed for the grant agreement, the project will have a maximum of 2 months to issue a completion guarantee, as I was mentioning before. And I was mixing two dates. So once the project has been invited to the grant agreement preparation, it has 2 months to issue the completion guarantee, and then the grant agreement will have to be signed 9 months after the call closes as a maximum date. Sorry for that. I was mixing those two. And then once the project has signed the grant agreement, it will have to enter into operation in a maximum of 5 years, and then the implementation starts. And it will have a period of a decade, 10 years, of a maximum of 10 years to produce the agreed RFNBO hydrogen. And how will the evaluation look like? Well, for those who are used to the regular grants under the Innovation Fund, where we have 5 award criteria that are revised in detail and are assessed by independent punctuation, each of them. This is not, just to clarify that this is not like this. So in this case, in the auction, we will do a simplified evaluation, as I was saying before, just on a pass-fail basis. Projects will be pre-qualified based on relevance. That means if they are aligned with the purpose of the auction, and on quality, which means basically if they can credibly, or with information that they have provided, if they will credibly enter into operation in 5 years. And that will be assessed around aspects of technical maturity, financial maturity, and operational maturity. And then projects will be ranked according only to price, as I was mentioning before. On the assessment of the relevance, it will be very important for the projects. It will be very important information that the projects share in the application form B, and how they explain their background and how they are aligned with the production of RFNBO hydrogen. So for that, it will be very important, in particular, for the project to explain how their product will be RFNBO hydrogen according to the definitions that are in the Renewable Energy Directive and its delegated acts, and also to explain how the renewable energy supply strategy that we are requesting to provide with the bid aligns with those requirements. This strategy that we are requesting is just basically a letter of intent or a memorandum of understanding from a electricity supplier in case the electricity is not taken from a dedicated plant, and that should be covering at least 60% of the volume of electricity necessary for the period of implementation of 10 years. And it has to show, as I was saying, these requirements of the delegated acts on additionality, geographical, and temporal correlation. And then SINEA will be evaluating also on a pass-fail basis, always on a pass-fail basis, the quality. And as I was mentioning before, quality, the overarching question here on quality will be, does the project credibly, or will the project credibly enter into operation in 5 years? Yes or no? For that, the first thing that the SINEA will be checking is if the project presented a letter of intent from a financial institution for the completion guarantee. And for that purpose, we have made available a template in our website, in the application, in the EU tenders and funding and tenders portal. Then SINEA will be revising the technical maturity of the projects, its technical characteristics, and the implementation plan. For this aspect, it will be very important for the project to explain and to present at least 2 documents. 2 set of documents. The first one is, what is the status of the permits, particularly the environmental permits and the permits to connect to the grid. On those documents, what we are requesting is just a proof that the projects have started conversations with the environmental authorities or with the system operator to connect to the grid in a credible manner. So we are requesting an interaction with them and a timeline in which they can prove that they will be able, as I said, to enter into operation in 5 years. But also, we will be requesting a strategy for the procurement of the electrolyzer, in which the bidder will have to show us, that it has a letter of intent of a memorandum of understanding with an electrolyzer procurer, that it's clear its name, that it's clear that at least where this electrolyzer is coming from, how much will be the price, and what is going to be the type of delivery and when delivery is expected for. The second aspect that will be evaluated by CINEA is on financial maturity. And basically, it will be an assessment, an overall assessment of the project business and financing plan of the project. For this, the project will have to fill in what we call the financial information file, the FIF, which is a very simplified financial model in which the project will have to show, well, very basic information about its financial structure and its cash flows, and to prove that it has to prove that it has financial viability during the implementation plan, because we want to see that the production will not be halted by an imbalance in the financial plan. And then also, it will be very important for assessing the financial maturity, the off-taker strategy that the project is presenting, because that's another document that we are requesting. We are requesting the project to have, again, a letter of intent, a memorandum of understanding, a pre-contractual agreement with an off-taker covering at least 60% of the total volume that is expected to be produced during the 10 years of implementation, in which, again, it is reflected the price structure, the way that it's going to be delivered, where the off-taker is located, and well, the minimum characteristics of the off-taker indeed. The third aspect that will be evaluated under this assessment criteria on a pass-fail basis, again, is operational maturity. Here, it is very simple information that we are requesting. We just want to know who is the consortium is, why the consortium has the competence and experience in the project team to implement the project, and if the consortium has the sufficient operational resources. Here, we are not requesting any specific document, but it has to be well explained in the application. And the fourth aspect that I'm showing in the screen is not an evaluation criteria by itself, but it's required as part of the application for the applicant. So they will have to present as part of the deliverables that we are requesting in the 10 years implementation, and knowledge sharing and communication and dissemination and visibility strategy in order to ensure visibility to the funding as well and to the results of the project. And here I have a list of all the documents that I have commented while I was going through this evaluation criteria, and which are the annexes or additional documents that we're requesting as part of the bid. So we're requesting, again, the renewable electricity sourcing strategy, a hydrogen offtake and price hedging strategy. And here I forgot to mention, we're expecting the bidder to show not only this strategy of to supply to an offtake and this letter of intent, this memorandum of understanding with an offtaker, but also that as part of that information, the project explained to us that it has a hedging mechanism to ensure that any variability in the price of energy and in the price of the offtaker are hedged. And basically what we're looking for is that both prices on the energy supply and the offtaker supply have some kind of symmetry, or that the project has thought about any hedging financial mechanism to cover that risk. Because again, we want to ensure that the production is not halted at any moment during implementation. The third document that I was talking about is the electrolyzer procurement strategy. Then proof of initiated conversations to receive environmental permits on time. The same with the grid connection permits. And finally, but one of the most important documents is this letter of intent from a financial institution for a completion guarantee. And with this, I almost end my presentation. So it's here, the key information to takeaways is the auction opened on the 3rd of November. It will close on the 8th of February if you're interested to apply to it before the 8th of February. All the information that I have just presented, the call text, the annexes, the template for the guarantee, and also the frequently asked questions, this is also very important, it is available in the EU funding and tender portal in the link that I'm showing in the screen. And if you have any questions, please refer to a link also in that website in the help desk. We will be happy to respond to it as soon as possible. And well, to make it public as part of the frequently asked questions in the website. If you want to have more information about us and about the Innovation Fund, please follow these links. And of course, follow us in the social media. With that, I say thank you, and I'm open to receive any questions that may be raised.
Thank you very much, Javier, for this clear and exhaustive presentation. I think you revealed a lot of interesting details for our listeners. And now I would like to ask our audience, do they have any questions to you? So please, if somebody has the question, raise your hand or turn off your mic and ask the question.
Just a question for me. Am I still sharing the screen, or should I stop sharing?
You stop sharing the screen.
Perfect. Thank you.
So, any questions? If not, then I
Yes.
would like. Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
Hi.
Yeah,
Hi,
please.
it's Maya here. Yes. Hello. Thank you very much for a very interesting presentation. I just have one technical question. You mentioned this condition, new capacity only. So that means that all the electrolyzers have to be newly procured, and the procurement is the part of the project as well. It is not possible to also include electrolyzers that are already existing, for example, and they are built on some previous projects.
No.
Thank you.
Thank you for your answer. No, so one of the conditions that we have is that projects that apply to the bid have not started works. And that means, of course, that existing electrolyzers or electrolyzers that have been bought previously cannot participate of the bid. The way that we define a start of works is we define it, or is defined in the CAG regulation as any investment that is irreversible in the project. So if the project has incurred any irreversible investment, then we will consider that it has started works, and therefore it will not be eligible for, or it will be disqualified as part of the bid. As a figure for references, because sometimes we have received this question in which we ask well, what happened if I have ordered the electrolyzer, but I have not incurred in any payment? Well, in that case, what we analyze is if the project has incurred in any financial or relevant financial cost as a consequence of that order. So if the cancellation of the order of the electrolyzer is more or less or more than 10% of the capex of the project, then we consider that the penalization that the project is receiving is quite relevant, and therefore we consider that that order it implies also that the project has started works. Below that figure and any cost incurred below that figure, we will consider probably that it will not have started works. That's a bit of the reference that we are using at this moment.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. May I just have another one really quick?
Of course.
Yes, you mentioned that the producer needs to have already some kind of contract with offset. I think you mentioned the term. So does it have to be only one company or one, or can it be more contracts for users of the hydrogen, for example?
For the off-takers. Well, first of all, just to clarify, at the moment of applying, we are only requesting pre-contractual relations with off-takers and with suppliers, and that's why we don't want to clash with that start of work condition that I was explaining before. So, in general, we will be expecting pre-contractual agreements with off-takers. In case that, of course, with the limitations of the start of works and the penalizations that I was explaining before. And answering to your question, we are requesting at least a relation with one off-taker for 60% of the volume that is expected to be produced during the 10 years. The rest 40% of the volume to be produced, we have no limitation on that. But for the off-taker, it has to be one. For the 60% that we're requesting, it has to be one at least.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I see one hand being raised, and Ana Munoz. So please introduce yourself briefly and ask your question. The floor is yours, Ana.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Hello, I'm Ana. I'm from Spain, from a company called Scalibur. It's an urban geophysics company. And my question is whether this auction contemplates natural hydrogen, also known as white hydrogen, because I see as you speak about electrolyzers, this auction seems to be focused on green hydrogen, if I'm not mistaken. So my question is whether you contemplate an auction for natural hydrogen projects.
Thank you, Ana.
The response is quite direct. No, we are not. Addressing in this auction white hydrogen. We are only addressing and paying for RFNBO hydrogen, renewable fuel of non-biological origin hydrogen, as it is defined in the Renewable Energy Directive and in its delegated acts. So basically, we are talking about hydrogen produced from electrolysis with renewable energy.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any more questions from the audience?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes,
From a
please.
certain point of view, you won't be interested into cost. You will be looking into cost, right? Because what you are interested in is premium. This is the hydrogen price, but you won't be looking you won't have the insight into the cost of production of hydrogen, will you?
Yes. So as part of the application, the applicant will have to fill in this very simplified financial model that I was talking before, and in there, yes, we will be requesting basic information on CapEx, on OpEx, on the balance sheet of the applicant, and how, in order to be able to assess how the cash flows will behave during the 10 years of implementation, and how that relates with the balance sheet of the applicant. Again, it is a simplified financial model, but yes, we're requesting some basic information to be able to assess the how the levelized cost of hydrogen has been calculated, and how that relates to the fixed premium that it's been requested.
Okay, thank you.
And if I may correct my previous answer regarding the number of off-takers that can be presented. So I was double checking the text, and although we usually think of one off-taker as part of the covering that 60% that we are requesting, it can be several off-takers indeed. So the bidder has to present a plan for 60% of the off-take RFNBO hydrogen, but it can be covered by more than one off-taker. Sorry for that clarification.
Thank you for the clarification. Thank you for the question. Any more questions from the audience? If not, so I have one question a little bit more horizontal. So I was listening to your presentation, and you mentioned that in the requirements for participating projects, you've foreseen some limitations for the grant per project. So my question is actually related to another aspect. Do you also foresee some kind of limitation for projects from one country, or there are no limitations? And then the following question is, so how will you ensure that there wouldn't be a market fragmentation in the EU? Because some countries might be very active, and participate in this initiative, and some countries might not even submit anything. So.
Yeah. No, of course, this has been part of the discussion, and what we call the geographical balance.
Mm-hmm.
But in this first pilot action, we decided not to have any geographical balance conditions. So not to, at this moment, we understand this is a pilot. We understand that the market is not created, and this is an European wide auction. So we will not have any condition on geographical origin of the applicants. Having said this, additional conditions may happen in the future, but at this moment we want to keep it simple and to discover the market, and that also implies, well, knowing that some countries will have more dynamic hydrogen industry than others, but we understand that. That's why we have these strong conditions on the accumulation rules, because at least we want to, since everyone that we have no geographical conditions, at least we want to limit the type of public support that the projects have behind. So that's why we have those strong rules.
Thank you very much. So last chance to ask the questions to our speaker. 1, 2, 3. So no more questions. So thank you very much. Thank you for giving us your time. Thank you for presenting this quite complex initiative. I hope that everything was clear, and if something was not clear, so perhaps we might come back to you with a number of questions. But again, thank you very much, and thank you for the participants for taking their time to join us. And because we are already reaching the end of the year, and as I mentioned before, it's our final event for this year. So I would also like to wish everyone a happy season holidays. So thank you very much, and looking forward to seeing you all next year. So thank you.
Thank you very much for the invitation. If I may add, if you are interested in knowing more details about this, again, all the questions through the help desk that we have in the EU funding and tenders. And also, well, we have I don't know if some of you attended to the info day that we organized last week, 2 weeks ago already, and on the 30th of November, where we explained in detail all the things that I went through today. So if you go into our website, the Innovation Fund, the European Commission, and just find auction, we have the info day. And there you have a recording of 2 hours in which we explain all these things. So, and many questions that are responded there. So I hope you enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Have a good day. Bye.
I think that there's one more question in the chat.
About sharing the presentation.
Yes.
I think we can cover this.
And in any case,
if our speaker agrees, yeah.
The speaker agrees, no problem. But if you want a more complete version of the presentation, in the Info Day website, you also have these slides expanded. So also
Excellent.
It's a nice source of information.
Excellent.
Okay. Bye-bye. Have a very nice weekend then.
Have a good day. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.